We are on a podcast interview this evening, Front Porch with United Capital Management of Kansas, one of Ty Harris's sponsors. And Ty, how many trips to the NFR is this for you?
This is
3?
my fifth one. Fifth one.
Okay,
Yes,
fifth
sir.
one. Class.
Excited to have United Capital Management on my shirt for this one.
Yes. Anyway, looking forward to it. Hopefully it'll show up on the camera. So, yeah, just first question I have for you right out of the chute here is how come you're not as funny as Coleman Proctor? And is there anybody in the calf roping arena that has stepped up into Proctor's role? Let's start with who is the funniest calf roper that you know?
The funniest calf roper I know.
Not guys at the bottom like me. I might be the funniest, but the guys at the top.
Man,
the guys.
That's tough. Calf ropers, I'd say, probably aren't the funniest group of all of them. You got the team ropers that are pretty comical, some steer wrestlers and some rough stock riders, but most of the calf ropers are pretty serious guys, kind of dry funny. You got some dry funny guys.
Next to Coleman Proctor, who's the funniest man in rodeo, the most personable man in rodeo?
Most personable man in rodeo.
Joe Beaver's pretty personable.
Joe Beaver, for sure. I mean, he's top of the line for if you're counting retired guys. He's got to be up there. If you're going to talk about personalities, he's got to be up there. But I don't know. Let's go Stetson Wright. No, I'm joking. That's a joke. He's pretty dry. He's pretty dry, but
I get it now. I've been there. I've seen his interviews. All right.
Yeah, he's funny though because he's so dry. You never know what the heck he's going to say. So.
Oh, really?
Yes,
okay.
Sir.
So that brings me to another question. People often ask me, "Do you know this person, this person, this person?" I just remind them, the other rodeo events. That's like tennis players knowing golfers.
Right.
You don't always mix. So you obviously know all the calf ropers. You probably meet others at slack, but who have you formed relationships with in the rough stock consistently? Anybody?
Man, Dawson Hayes, Zeke Thurston, some of those Canadian guys. Clayton Bigelow, I've spent some time with. Most of the rough stock riders that I've spent time with, it's been awesome. They're a really cool group of guys, really close knit, and just a lot of fun to be around. I grew up with, Leighton Berry. We were always buds growing up, But I like the rough stock riders a lot. I enjoy watching them, and they're a pretty cool group of guys. So.
Yeah, and it's cool that they'd hang out with you because that's almost like a rough stock guy. That'd be like kind of a Green Beret or Navy SEAL hanging out with a conscientious objector. Calf roper.
I guess if you want to call it that. But you got Keenan Hayes. I got to spend some time with him this year. He's freaking awesome. I don't know if you paid attention much, but he's rookie leading it this year. He won like $105,000 just on his permit last year. Didn't even buy his rookie card and won over 100 G's just on his permit. So he's pretty awesome from Colorado. So yeah. Anyways, but they're all pretty awesome group of guys. So
the other thing that people don't realize going down the road, they'll ask me about places, and I want to ask you something I've never really talked about with you. Are you able to ever soak in any of these rodeos because you're maybe there for the slack and the perf that night or the next night or something like that? But have you? How many of those rodeos do you really don't experience anything because you're in and out so fast?
A lot of them. So if we went to 80 this year, I bet I probably only stayed around at 6 or 8. And I'll kind of catch myself like a lot of the other guys complaining about, we got to wait around here for 3 days, But I always try to stop myself and just think, I'm getting to live a life that not many are blessed to live and getting to experience some really, really cool stuff and see some awesome places. So I try to, take advantage of it and just enjoy the scenery and enjoy the process. But, I like to be going to a rodeo every day while I'm gone. If I'm home, I like to be home. But when I'm gone, you kind of want to be going and roping and competing. But when I am at a rodeo for more than 1 or 2 days, then I really try to enjoy it and, and take advantage of it.
So the way the perfs are set up, I'm sure you've soaked in Calgary.
Yeah, that's a pretty awesome one, which it's easy to take that in. You know, it's the experience there is unbelievable. Like Houston's and Calgary. I mean, they take such good care of you with the hospitalities, the concerts, the whole experience is pretty. You know, it's pretty awesome. So
So, what's your favorite place out of all the rodeos? Your two or three favorite rodeos?
two or three favorite rodeos would have I'd have to put San Angelo in there just because of the atmosphere that they in the performances there when I wrote for the hometown crowd. It's unbelievable. Uh, um Pendleton is just because of the rodeo or actual rodeo arena, and it's just so I don't know. It's like Letter Buck. It's kind of says it speaks for itself. There's none that are really like that in its own way. And then Calgary, the way it pays and the amount of people that are there to watch every time, and so fast paced and like I said, you're treated like royalty when you're in Calgary. So those are probably my top three, I'd say. Obviously, besides your NFR and American, but your three PRCA rodeos throughout the year would be those three.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about this. Maybe it'll turn into an argument, but I'm coming from a generation, I'm 53 years old. So everybody 10, 20, 30 years older than me will sit there and say calf roping has very little to do with athleticism.
Right,
Maybe you're young enough that that hasn't been talked about for years. It's about repetition. It's like golf. It's being repetition, practice, all of that. You can be a great calf roper whether you're short or tall, fat or skinny. And I'd like to make an argument to that because I've been in a lot of arenas and you take your consistent winners and I'll say, look at the hamstrings on that guy.
right,
Okay.
right,
Some of these top shelf calf ropers would succeed, excuse me, in basketball, football, other
right,
sports. And
right.
I know your genetics and you're athletic. You come from athletes, you're athletic. You played basketball. What are you doing to keep yourself in shape? Timing? What's
So
your shoe look like outside of the rodeo arena?
it kind of changes all the time. When I was younger, I was so skinny that I was just lifting a bunch, eating a ton, and everything. And then the older I get, your metabolism slows down and you start to get a little chubby or whatever. So I started doing cardio, but now it's transformed mostly into like yoga and therapy for injuries. I got a meniscus and back and different things. So I try to do a lot of therapy and then eat right, and I've been doing a lot of yoga. It's really really helped me. I was supposed to have back surgery at the end of 21, and had that scheduled and everything, and so that the yoga actually has been huge for me. And I pretty much have little to no pain now in it, so that's kind of where that's transformed. When it comes to your athletes, to be a great calf roper, I think you definitely have to be athletic. I think you can be good at anything just by the process and the fundamentals and being a machine about it. Just like I think you could be a good quarterback without being the most athletic. I mean, or a good basketball player, but I don't think you can be great without having some sort of gifted ability.
When I think of an NFL quarterback, I'm guessing most of them could pass a lot of aptitude tests. Maybe not always the IQ and academics, but what it takes to be a fighter pilot. That mind being able to move, and that's got to be a part of between your your winners and your not winners in the calf roping sport because
No doubt, you have to be able to react fast for sure.
yeah. So typically, when it comes to let's talk about money and the that's how everybody in rodeo that's how their success is measured.
Right.
It's not like they're going to go to a point system and keep the money confidentiality. So anyway, so it's not a nosy question. So let's talk about your earnings to date. Your biggest win ever came in 2023, correct?
Yes, sir. Yep, for sure.
And the American. Did that feel like the best thing you'd ever won emotionally?
Yeah, it
Was
did.
that exciting or something lesser than that more
There
exciting?
was there was a lot of things that went into it being such an emotional win, but prize money was obviously a huge part of it. But coming off an NFR that I didn't really love. I got hurt 2 weeks before it, or 13 days before the NFR last year, and had a terrible winter. Hadn't won anything up to date for 2023 coming into the American, and it was a big, huge goal of mine was to win the American, and we talked about it and we manifested it, and the practices felt amazing, and to see it come to fruition was a very emotional win. For a lot of reasons. The money was obviously a big reason, though.
The before we leave the money, where are you standing right now? I should have looked that up. Are you in fifth?
I'm in fifth, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, I don't pay attention to all of the rodeo sports every year and keep it in my mind. And it's probably not as far back as I think it is. But when is the last time in the calf roping that somebody went in winning the world and was as far ahead of the pack as Riley Webb?
So in 2020, COVID year, Shad Mayfield had a big lead. I want to say around 90,000, somewhere around 90. And that,
Not that long ago.
and
And he won the
then,
world that year.
and he won the
Was
world
that?
by, I think, $200.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got that year COVID. And then other than that, I don't know. I think 90,000 is, from my mind, is the most I can think of anybody having a lead. And I think, what Riley's got right at 75,000, 73, something like that this year. So, I mean, a huge, huge lead. So he had an
Mhm.
amazing, amazing year, kind of a storybook type of year.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, that puts the pressure on you.
It does. But
So
he had a lot of pressure on him all year and succeeded. So we'll see. But all you can do is kind of worry about yourself and go rope the best you can and win as much as you can and go from there. So
what's your strategy going in? You're
I've
going to
tried
be relaxed.
be relaxed, be confident, know that I put the work in, and try to go make the 10 best runs I can. They give a lot of money out there every night. Not let the night before, whether I won the round or whether I did terrible, affect how I'm going to do that night. I'm just going to try to go be as ready as I can and make the best 10 runs I can every night.
I said we could always erase some of these questions, but so you're going to go out there with the attitude that every round is just a one header, or in the back of your mind, are you going to try to keep the 10 rounds together in the average?
So I think the biggest thing that people do a lot of times, including myself, is try to change too much at Vegas. So the way I rope all year is I don't ever act like it's a one hitter or act like it's a two or three or whatever. I try to see the start and go take my first good throw and make the fastest, best run I can every time. So that's where I see myself have the most success personally. So that's how I'm going to try to go do it every night over there. I mean, obviously, if I'm winning the average going into the end, then I'll maybe try to be a little safe in the barrier or whatever. But you can't too much because you safety up right there. The calf gets towards the end of the arena. They duck, they dive, they slow down. You just got to go be aggressive and make the 10 best runs you can. For me, some guys are go knock it out the park, balls to the wall. For me, I just got to go see my start, take my throw, make my run, and hopefully get paid.
Right. What you just said is huge for kids to hear. I don't remember what famous baseball player. He just says, I don't think about my home runs. I don't think about winning the game. It's just see the ball, hit the ball,
Yes,
and that's what you've got to do. Get the
exactly.
start.
When I see my biggest failures, it's usually because I'm trying to win instead of just trying to make my run. I'm trying to go get a check or worrying about what's winning something. A lot of times I just try to eliminate in my mind, okay, this is placing. I'm a big numbers guy, so it's hard, but a lot of times I try to not to even think about how fast is winning anything. I just try to go because I'm going to go as fast as I can anyways. So if something happens and I'm a little longer than I'd like to be, then for me, it's just going to make me make more mistakes than I would anyways. So I'm just going to go try to make the best run I can.
Yeah. Tell me, how do you overcome burnout going down the road?
Man,
Do you,
uh,
do you suffer from that?
I I wouldn't say I suffer. I think because I just love rodeoing so much. I mean, I personally think I get better in the summer whenever I'm just going to a rodeo every single day. Some people really like to be home more. I'm sure if and when I get a family, then it'll make me miss home more when I have my own family. I'll want to be home more and get burned out from being gone. But for me right now, this is what I've always dreamt of doing, and I love rodeo and I love every part of it, every aspect of it. So to me, I never really get burned out from rodeoing. I think the process of every single day practicing, just staying like Rain Man, just bam, 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 every single day being on top of your business is the biggest thing that have to stay on top of because I'll kind of get a little lackadaisical, then try to run a bunch of calves in a couple of days instead of just staying focused and sharp at all times.
Your Palomino mare, is that your favorite horse in rodeo?
Yes, sir. Sally's been a
Your
life
favorite
changer.
horse, is it your,
Oh, in
you,
rodeo,
is
man,
it, is, who's got, who's the outside of your horse, unless it's not your horse, but outside of your Palomino, what's your favorite horse going down the road and who's riding it right now?
man, it's hard to
Is that putting you in the spot in
now.
front of some of your
It's
friends?
hard to go against that Haven Medjid's his bay horse he calls Smoke. I mean that horse is so
Mm-hmm.
fast, stops so hard. Hanchy's Bay Bugsy's is good every single time. Riley Webb has three great horses. Uh, Dylan Hancock has two good ones. There's a lot that come to mind. Obviously, Pockets has been amazing for 8 years. If on career wise, right now you'd have to say Pockets is the best horse that's still going by far because of accolades. And I don't know if I could have went and done that well on him. He's my style or in him, whatever. But with Caleb and Pockets, it's hard to bet against him at all throughout the last 8 years or whatever it is. Maybe nine, I don't know. But I love
Do
Sally,
you
but
ever
there's a lot of horses that are really good,
do you ever pay attention to bloodlines?
Um, I'm am more now. I'm just kind of paying attention more to it. I never have. I just kind of like a good horse is a good horse. A lot of my horses that I had made the final or horse Spider Man, my first one that I bought for myself and then made the finals on isn't even papered. So that's not really something that I'm huge on, but it also is important, especially in the resale and the marketing, and it's getting bigger and bigger every year with the futurities. You got the Riata, the Pink, the Ruby, the Gold Buckle Futurities is coming along. You got the RFA and Abilene, all the futurities that are coming and the showing and stuff, the Royal Crown. That stuff's getting big. So it won't be long, I think, and it's going to be even bigger and bigger for what a horse is worth.
So I pay attention to shop horses, but I'm, kind of a hypocrite in the question because all those horses you name, I know to be the best going, and I've never looked up any of their
Exactly.
bloodlines.
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
I don't know how
but
any of them are bred, but I started kind of paying attention because Sally's a mare, and hopefully I go win a lot of money on her, and hopefully her babies are worth something. So I started thinking about it a little bit.
yeah, any other horses come to mind?
But you got
Here's
Shat.
where you're supposed to say Big Sort, an American cat owned by Chad Cohen. Get the, you not get the text message? All right, I'm just kidding.
I didn't get the text. I didn't.
I'm just kidding. Let's talk about the Cowboy Channel, RFD TV. I don't want to lead you in this, but what do you think the future for calf roping and rodeo is with the media like it is today?
Man, I would say it's as bright as ever. I don't know where it's headed, but I'm sure blessed to be a part of where it's going because it's gotten bigger and the sponsors are getting great and the viewership. I mean, it's pretty awesome to be able to go anywhere I go. If I'm in my cowboy clothes, somebody recognizes me. Like that's something that I don't think. I mean, for a lot of times, that without the Cowboy Channel, that wouldn't be a thing. So
Right.
it's came a long way in a short period of
Who
time.
recognizes you is kids and parents of little calf ropers for
Right,
sure.
right.
When you're in your world, um, I will tell you today. I could walk out the street in Salina, Kansas, or I could walk out the street in Fort Worth, Texas, and ask 25 people if they know who Trevor Brazil is, and
Right.
none of them are going to recognize that name. But it's definitely helping within the rodeo community. But here's my speculation: the bigger it gets, remember when Josh peaked? Do you remember watching him in the NFR and he'd have what looked like almost a NASCAR shirt
Yeah,
on?
yeah, you would.
And I saw a vision back then. Our company working in technology, I knew what was coming when it comes to. I'm just going to say television, but when
Hmm.
it comes to streaming and what we're doing right here, uh, it creates a lot more competition out there in whatever community a person's in and whatever their hobbies are. Like I go to, when I go to my Apple Music, I don't know what any new songs are out there hardly because I just go and listen to what I want to listen to. But
Right.
I'm going to suggest to you that I don't know why the sport of rodeo possibly couldn't someday get closer to NASCAR.
Right.
NASCAR, you fight with an individual driver. I realize in football and basketball and hockey, you got your favorite players, but I think it's going to do. I think there's a possibility the way this is rolling, you might be able to walk into a Dallas mall or Fort Worth mall or LA mall, and there might be people that recognize you. I think that's coming. I just wondered if you'd ever thought of it. Um, Tell me your funniest story in rodeo.
Funny story.
Funny,
Man.
crazy thing.
So, craziest story I haven't really told very many people. One of my second year rodeoing, I was kind of scheduled wrong where I needed to try to turn out of Deadwood, South Dakota to make Salt Lake, which Salt Lake wasn't a PRCA at that time, and it paid $50,000. So it was the gold medal round that night. I was that morning in Deadwood, and I was going to fly out of Rapid City. Long story short, the flight that I was on, wasn't going to be able to hang out and rope at Deadwood. I'd have to leave early. And there was a bulldogger. My travel agent Sharon told me that there was a bulldogger that was on the later flight, but I couldn't switch it because there was already people on standby, et cetera, et cetera. So she says, I do have one idea. I'm like, what's that? She gets me talking to Tanner Bruner, guy from Kansas, big old stout burly guy, and she tells me, "Hey, just ask him if he'll use your ID and get on that earlier flight, and you can stay rope at Deadwood and then get on that later flight." And I didn't know what to do, didn't know what to do. I was like 19th in the world. I needed the money in that 50,000 at Salt Lake, but I really needed the points in Deadwood for PRCA. So I was thinking about turning out of Salt Lake for because it didn't count PRCA. Well, I talked to Tanner, and he didn't even really know me at all. And he goes, "Yeah, sure, man, I'll do it." I couldn't believe it, and I was so nervous. But long story short, he makes it. He texts me, "Hey, I made it through. I rope a Deadwood Place, win like $1,700. Make it through with his ID." Was so nervous. I fly down to Salt Lake and ended up winning the 50,000. So that was a pretty crazy story. I got through the Rapid City Airport with Tanner Bruner's ID. So
That is an awesome story.
yeah,
And as I sit here in Salina, Kansas, Tanner Bruner was born and raised probably 45 miles as the crow
yeah.
flies.
That's why that kind of made me think of the story was you're in Kansas and that. But yeah, that's a true story. He used my ID and I used his.
My favorite rodeo story was God. I started calf roping when I was 35, so I couldn't have been much more than 40 when this story happened, and I could go back and add up some years, and I think I've told you this, but I'm getting ready before the rodeo. Probably already had the pig and string in my mouth 15 minutes before I was up, and just making sure that my equipment's good and everything, and I look up, and there on a big gray horse with his arms crossed was Dean Gorsuch. At this time, I don't think he was just one-time world champion NFR Bulldogger. I think he was two-time world champion. I think he won three total. You know who he is?
Oh yeah,
You recognize
100%
that name?
yes. I didn't know how
All
many
right.
times he won the
Well,
world, but I've heard of him. Yes.
the guy looks like Superman. He could be a model in magazines. Looks like a big NFL linebacker, and he's watching the bronc riding. And there's these line of kids, and in conversation later, I knew them to be fourth graders. Okay, there are about eight of them in line with their program, waiting to get a signature from Dean Gorsuch. And this is Coffeyville, Kansas, by the way. Okay, replay screen, everything. And I thought, how cool is it in Coffeyville, Kansas, that these little kids know who that gentleman is? Okay. It blew me away. We're kind of in the Flint Hills of Kansas, cattle country, whatever. The last kid in line turned around, said, "Hey, sir, are you a calf roper?" And I said, "Yeah." And that entire line left him for my autograph. Okay. They no more knew who he was than the man on the moon, and obviously leaving a two-time world champion to get an absolute nobody's autograph. And I use that to encourage. A lot of kids, they want to team rope, or they want to do something else, and I'm always promoting the world of calf rope. And I'm like, kids, boys, you need to learn how to calf rope. That's the real cowboys. And one of my favorite lines to drop on them is, hey, boys, I have never seen a calf roper with an ugly girlfriend. Period. Okay. You could be the ugliest calf roper in the world, and so fat you can barely get on your horse. And when he's done in that arena, he's getting off his horse and he's with a good-looking girl. So, anyway,
Hey, especially if he can rope good. I tell a lot of kids, a lot of people I give lessons to, a lot of kids, hey, you quit chasing girls and you start working on your rope and you get to where you can win, they'll chase you. I promise.
yeah, in fact, that came up as I'm signing autographs, and I guarantee if you asked Dean that story, he would remember it well. It was hilarious. Well, Ty, thank you for your time and good luck at the NFR, and I will see you in Las Vegas.